Hi, this is Elder Vicky Baker with another reading from one of Apostle Shane Vaughn's collection. It's called Which Witch is Which? It's about witchcraft, wishcraft, and willcraft. Will worship, the root of all witchcraft. Which witch is which? This is put on by First Harvest Ministries International, and you can find all the works of First Harvest Ministries International at hiscomingkingdom.com. Let's start with the introduction. Beloved of Yahweh, we make a dreadful mistake when we read in Exodus 22, verse 18, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And we picture black cats, broomsticks, cauldrons, and Halloween costumes. We think of spells and potions and crystal balls. But I submit to you today that we have missed the very essence of what witchcraft is. Because of this lack of understanding, we are surrounded by witchcraft in the assembly of Yahweh. While refusing to celebrate Halloween because of witchcraft, we entertain it among us, unaware. That unawareness will be removed from your eyes today. From the moment that you finish this booklet, all witchcraft will have been exposed before your discerning eyes. Once you see it, you are commanded in Torah to never allow it to live, exist, or assemble among you. You are to kill witchcraft. We have externalized it. We have costumed it. We have made it about rituals and incantations. We have hidden it behind an old hag or a broom, so we dare not identify it with our beautiful selves. And in doing so, we have missed the very existential root, the spiritual DNA, the heart of what Yahweh was actually forbidding. Know this well. Yahweh cares less about the hags on the broom than he does the beautiful among us who she hides in. What if I told you that witchcraft is not primarily about potions and spells? What if I told you that sorcery is not primarily about rituals and incantations? What if I told you that the root of all witchcraft, the very essence of what Yahweh hates, is one simple thing: the exaltation of self-will over Yahweh's will. Witchcraft is willcraft. Sorcery is wishcraft. The witch attempts to bend reality to conform to her will. The sorcerer attempts to manipulate creation according to his desires. Perish the thought that sorcery no longer exists. What do you think transgenderism is? An illusion mean to bend reality. A presentation of a lie presented as truth, and the spell is evident in those who accept this bended reality as truth by the multiple masses. There is a very difference in the witches among us and the overcoming Son of Yahweh. The one key identifying trait is always, not my will, but thy will be done. This is the dividing line between the kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of light. Not as mere words spoken, but realities daily lived. Part 1. The Hebrew, what is witchcraft? Let's begin with the Hebrew word itself in Exodus 22, verse 18. It's Mekashepha lo takaya. It means you shall not allow a sorceress to live. The word translated witch is sorceress, is Makashepha, from the root kashaf, pronounced kashaf. According to Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, H3784, kashaf, properly to whisper a spell, to enchant, a practice magic. But let's go deeper. Let's dig into the root, the ancient pictographed Hebrew. In ancient Hebrew, every letter was originally a picture, a pictograph that carried meaning. The word kashaf is composed of 3 letters. Kaf, the picture of an open palm, it carries the meaning of bend and curve, to tame and subdue, and most importantly, as one who has been bent to another's will. Did you catch that? The first letter of witchcraft carries the meaning of bending someone or something to your will. The second picture is Shin. Amen. The picture of 2 front teeth. It carries the meaning of sharp, the cutting edge of teeth. Press, the function of teeth when chewing. Destroy, what teeth do to food. This speaks of force, pressure, and destruction. The picture of the 2 front teeth, sharp, the cutting edge of teeth. Press, the function of teeth when chewing, and destroy, what teeth do to food. This speaks of force, pressure, and destruction. Number 3 is pay, the picture of a mouth. It carries the meaning of speak. The function of the mouth: blow, breathe proceeding from the mouth. Edge, the lips at the edge of the mouth. This speaks of words, declarations, and spoken commands. The picture of the mouth: speak, the function of the mouth. Blow, breath proceeding from the wrath. Edge, the lips of the edge of the mouth. This speaks of words, declarations, and spoken commands. Put it together. The pictograph definition. When you combine these 3 pictographs, you get a stunning revelation. Kaf, Shin, Pei. To bend reality through forceful words, to use spoken declarations to press and subdue something to your will, the mouth that destroys in order to bend things to the speaker's desire. Do you see it now? The witch, the Mekashepha, is one who uses the power of words and declarations to force reality to bend to her will. She speaks, she declares, she commands, not in alignment with Yahweh's will, but in opposition to it. She whispers in her spells, her words, and expects creation to bend. The ancient pictographed Hebrew of the true picture of witchcraft. Kaf, the open palm, meaning bend, curve, to tame and subdue. The act of bending something or someone to your will. The shin, the teeth, sharp, presso, destroy. And pei, the mouth, to speak, blow, words, breath, declaration, spoken commands, words that shape outcomes. The pictographic definition: to bend reality through forceful words, to press something into your will by spoken commands. The mouth that destroys in order to subdue. Will worship is witchcraft. I will is the serpent's gospel. Gressinus adds another layer. The renowned Hebrew scholar Gressinus in the Hebrew lexicon notes that kasafah in its original usage meant to pray, to offer prayers of worship, but in Hebrew, its usage is restricted only to the worship of idols. Now, this is extraordinary. The sorcerer is not just casting spells. The sorcerer is praying to a false source to accomplish what Yahweh has not ordained. The witch is engaged in worship. But worship of self, worship of demons, Worship of anything that will bend reality to her desires. This is will worship in its purest form. Witchcraft prayers, the revelation most miss. Now hear this carefully, because this changes everything. Witchcraft prayers is simple prayers called spells. It is all worship. Think about it. The witch prays, but she calls it a spell. The witch worships, but she worships the generic god or goddess, one that creates, that cares about her own will more than a sovereign external plan. The witch petitions a spiritual power, but her purposes, not Yahweh's. The witch makes declarations, but declarations designed to bend her reality to her desires. What is a spell? It is a prayer directed at the wrong source for the wrong purpose. What is an incantation? It is worship offered to anything that will give the worshiper what she wants. The difference between a prayer and a spell is not the form, it is the heart. The prayer says, Father, thy will be done. Align my desires with your purpose. The spell says, powers of the universe, bend reality to my will. Give me what I want. Both are worship. Both are petition. Both are spiritual declarations. But one submits to Yahweh. The other demands from the universe. God or goddess or anyone out there that will obey mankind's demands and prophecies. One aligns with the Creator. The other attempts to manipulate creation. This is why Yahweh hates witchcraft, because it is worship pointed in the wrong direction. It is not that the witch doesn't believe in spiritual power or God or goddess. It is not that the witch doesn't pray. It is not that the witch doesn't worship. The witch believes, prays, and worships. But all of it is aimed at self-will rather than Yahweh's will. And that is the abomination. Part 2. The 5 I will statements. The birth of witchcraft. Now let us go back to the very origin of this rebellion, the moment when will worship was first manifested in the created order. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 through 14. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. 5 times, the adversary declares, I will. This is the heart of evil laid bare. This is the spiritual DNA of the rebellion. This is the root from which every act of sorcery, witchcraft, and manipulation springs. Allow me to show you the present day manifestation of that. Will you be at Passover? I will pray about it. Will you be at Sabbath? I will think about it. Will you give your tithe? I will see if I'm able. Will you be at Tabernacles? I will try to work it out. The leaders called for prayer. Will you be there? I will try. It is time to dance on Mount Zion with the congregation. Will you be joining us? I would, if that was my nature. What was Lucifer's sin? It was not that he committed some external act. It was not that he performed some ritual. It was not that he cast some spell. His sin was will worship. He exalted his will above Yahweh's will. He declared his intentions over Yahweh's intentions. He sought to bend the heavenly order to conform to his desires. Let's look at Ezekiel 28, verse 17. Thine heart was lifted up because of the beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. His heart was lifted up, exalted, puffed up with self. And what did that self-exaltation produce? I will. I will, I will, I will, I will. This, beloved, is the original witchcraft. Before there was a spell cast on earth, there was a declaration of self-will in heaven. Before there was a potion brewed in a cauldron, there was a heart that said, I will be like the Most High. Witchcraft is not primarily about rituals. It is about the exaltation of self-will. Part 3. Adam's fall. The continuation of will worship. The serpent brought the same spirit into the garden. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 4 and 5. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die. For Elohim doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. What was the temptation? Ye shall be as gods. The same lie, the same spirit, the same will worship. You don't have to accept what Yahweh has said. You don't have to submit to what Yahweh has ordained. You can determine your own reality. You can choose your own destiny. You can be your own God. And when Eve took the fruit, what was she doing? She was attempting to alter reality. According to her own desire, she was attempting to change her essence from creature to God, from clay to the potter, from submitted to sorcerer. She was practicing the very thing that Kashef describes, bending creation to her will rather than submitting to Yahweh's will. She became the first human witch, not because she cast a spell, but because she exalted her will above the command of Yahweh. Part 4. Paul's warning, the Greek will worship. Now we come to a stunning confirmation from the Apostle Paul himself in his letters to the Colossians. Paul uses a Greek word that is translated in the King James Version as the very title of this teaching, will worship. Let's look at Colossians chapter 2, verse 20 through 23. Wherefore, if you be dead with Messiah from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are you subject to ordinances? Touch not, taste not, handle not, which all are to perish with the using, after the commandments and doctrines of men, which things have indeed a shew of wisdom and will, worship, and humility, and neglecting of the body, not in any honor to the satisfying of the flesh. The Greek etholothreskia, the phrase will worship, is translated from the Greek word Strong's G1479. This compound word is made up of two parts: ethlio, to will, to wish, to desire, and to be inclined, and threskia, worship, religion, religious observances. Combined, it means self-imposed worship. or worships of one's own choosing. Thayer's Greek lexicon defines it as worship which one devises and prescribes for himself, contrary to the contents and nature of the faith which ought to be directed to Messiah, said of the misdirected zeal and practices of ascetics. Do you see what Paul is exposing? Will worship is religion that originates from human will rather than divine command. It is worship that says, I will worship Yahweh my way. I will add these rules that seem wise to me. I will create religious observances from my own understanding. It has a show of wisdom. It looks spiritual. It appears holy. It seems righteous, but it originates from self-will rather than Yahweh's will. Paul says it is worthless, not in any honor to the satisfying of the flesh. Will worship cannot conquer the flesh because it is the flesh. The flesh dressed up in religious clothing. Here we see the Hebrew keshef and the Greek ethothruskia bearing witness to the same truth. The root of all spiritual rebellion is the exaltation of self-will of Yahweh's will. Let's look at part 5, the contrast, thy will be done. Now let us turn from darkness to light. Let us see the opposite of will worship. Let us behold the heart of the overcoming Son. Can we go to Matthew chapter 26, verse 39? In the Garden of Gethsemane. And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Do you see the contrast? Lucifer said, I will, I will, I will, I will, I will. Yeshua said, not my will, but thine be done. 5 declarations of self-will from the adversary. 1 declaration of surrender from the Son. And the 1 declaration of surrender accomplished what 5 declarations of self-will could never achieve. Redemption, salvation, reconciliation, victory, the defeat of the adversary himself. The Lord's Prayer, the pattern for overcomers. Let's go to Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. This is the prayer Yeshua taught his disciples. Not my will be done. Not let me determine the outcome, but bend reality to my desires. Not bend my reality to my desires, but thy will be done. This is the antithesis of witchcraft. This is the destruction of sorcery. This is the annihilation of will worship. When you pray, thy will be done, you are renouncing the spirit of witchcraft. There was a mother in our congregation who moved to headquarters with full knowledge of our commitment to the 7th-day Sabbath. Nothing comes before the Sabbath day in our congregation. Little by little, this sister began to attend her son's sporting events in lieu of attending the Sabbath. When I approached the subject with these parishioners, I was quickly told that I will attend my children's sporting events. I will not be told what to do with my time. It was then that I knew which spirit I was dealing with, and needless to say, we had to ensure the witch did not continue to live among us. Part 6. Why the witch must not live. Now we return to our original text with new understanding. Exodus 22, verse 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch, Mekashepha, to live. Why such a severe judgment? Because the witch, the practitioner of Kafash, represents the ultimate rebellion against Yahweh's sovereignty. The witch says, I will alter what Yahweh has made. I will change what Yahweh has decreed. I will manipulate outcomes according to my desires. My will supersedes Yahweh's will. This is the very reason, no matter how much you love a person, when you have chosen the path of witchcraft, they are not allowed in the camp of Israel. This is why the abomination of homosexuality and transgenderism is so dangerous in our day. It literally alters what Yahweh has created and bends that creation into a false illusion. This is not merely a violation of a command. This is an assault of Yahweh's throne. This is a declaration of war against Yahweh's sovereignty. This is the spirit of Lucifer manifested in a human flesh. And Yahweh says, it shall not live. Not because Yahweh is cruel, not because Yahweh is vindictive, but because will worship is the root of every evil. If you allow the spirit of I will to live, it will spread. If you tolerate the mindset of self-sovereignty, it will corrupt. If you permit the heart that says my will over Yahweh's will, it will destroy. Part 7. The application. Where is will worship in your life? Every overcomer must face this hard question. Where are you practicing witchcraft in your own life? Please don't look around the room. I am speaking to you. Where are you practicing witchcraft in your own life? I am prayerful that you can honestly answer nowhere. If you have the wind of witchcraft or willcraft in your life, you will never be satisfied with the space you find yourself in. With the will of Yahweh for your life today, if it doesn't look like what you had wished for, the sin that must not live among us is not found with cauldrons and spells, but with self-will. If you truly wish to examine yourself, always begin with how you respond to the set authority figures in your life. Normally, you have to look no farther than there to see the spirit hiding. Your response to authority, true biblical mandated authority, will always reveal the hidden witch. When Yahweh says no, do you keep pushing? When Yahweh closes a door, do you try to pry it open? When Yahweh's will conflicts your will, which one wins? When circumstances don't go your way, do you manipulate to change them? When Yahweh is silent, do you seek other voices? Every time you exalt your will over Yahweh's will, you are practicing the spirit of witchcraft. The spirit of I will is alive and well. I will have that relationship, even though Yahweh has not ordained it. I will get that promotion, even if I have to compromise to get it. I will make this happen, even though every door is closed. I will change this person, even though Yahweh is working on a different timeline. I will have my way, regardless of what the Spirit is saying. This is kafesh. This is willcraft. This is witchcraft. Part 8. The cure. It's absolute surrender. The cure for will worship is not behavior modification. The cure is not religious ritual. The cure is not trying harder. The cure is death. Kill the witch. Let's look at Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. I am crucified with Messiah. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Messiah liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live in the faith of the Son of Elohim, who loved me and gave himself for me. The I must be crucified. The I will must die. The self-sovereign heart must be executed. And in its place, not I, but Messiah liveth in me. Can we look at Luke chapter 22, verse 42? Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine will be done. This was not a one-time prayer. This was not a Gethsemane moment only. This must be the pattern of the overcoming life. Every day, not my will. Every decision, not my will. Every desire, not my will. Every circumstance, not my will, but thine be done. The conclusion: 2 kingdoms, 2 prayers. Beloved, there are only 2 kingdoms in the spiritual realm. Thy kingdom of darkness operates on one principle: I will. The kingdom of light operates on one principle: thy will be done. Every witch, every sorcerer, every practitioner of the dark arts, they are all operating on the same principles that Lucifer declared in Isaiah 14, I will. And every overcoming son, every true disciple, every surrendered servant of Yahweh, they are operating on the same principle that Yeshua declared in Gethsemane: thy will be done. Which kingdom are you operating in? Which prayer is the pattern of your life? In James chapter 4, verse 7, submit yourselves therefore to Elohim. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Submit. That is the opposite of I will. Surrender. That is the death of witchcraft. Thy will be done. That is the prayer that breaks every curse, defeats every spell, destroys every work of the enemy, and aligns your life with the purposes of the Almighty. May the spirit of will die in us today. May the prayer of thy will rise up from our lips forever. Not my will, but thine be done. Amen. Thank you for listening to Which Witch is Which by Apostle John Shane Vaughn, founder of First Harvest Ministries Internationals. You can find all his work at hiscomingkingdom.com. Yahweh's blessings.